In his Critique of Judgment, Kant explores the faculty of judgment, which he considers an intermediate mental capacity between the understanding, responsible for knowledge, and reason, responsible morality. Kant distinguishes between determining judgment, which subsume a particular under a known universal, and reflective judgment, in which we seek to find an unknown universal for a given particular. The first part of the Critique of Judgment, known as the Critique of Aesthetic Judgment, is dedicated to the analysis of our experience and our judgment about the beautiful and the sublime, as well as the discussion about artistic creation. For Kant, the experience of the beautiful is characterized by a feeling of pleasure that is disinterested, universal, and based on the perception of a purposiveness without a specific purpose. Disinterestedness means that our appreciation of beauty is not linked to any practical or moral interest. The universality of the judgment of taste resides in our belief that, although the feeling of pleasures is subjective, other individuals should agree with our judgment. Purposiveness without purpose, although it is not possible to identify a specific or utilitarian purpose. This experience of the beautiful arises from the harmonious free play between our imagination and our understanding. Kant's Critique of Judgment had a profound influence on the development of aesthetic and the philosophy of art. His ideas provided the basis for formalist aesthetic, which emphasizes the importance of form and structure in aesthetic appreciation, to the detriment of content or representation. His discussion of the sublime had a significant impact on the development of Romantic aesthetic, which valued intense emotional experience and admiration for the vastness and power of the nature and art. Kant also introduced the notion of artistic genius as the innate capacity to produce work that are both original and exemplary, reveling the beautiful and the sublime. Even in contemporary debates about the nature of aesthetics judgment and the role of disinterestedness in the appreciation of art, Kant's ideas continue to be a central point of reference. Kant in dialogue with other philosophers. WHWN comparing Immanuel Kant thought with that of other influential philosophers, both similarities and significant contrasts emerge. In relation to Plato, both distinguish between a sensible world and an intelligible world. However, their epistemologies diverge. Plato believed in the possibility of reaching knowledge of the world of forms through reason, while Kant limited knowledge to the phenomenal world, shaped by our cognitive faculties. Kant criticized Plato's theory of forms, arguing that the understanding is not capable of going beyond experience in this way. In Ethics, Plato defended an ethics based on virtue and the pursuit of eudaimonia, while Kant proposed a deontological ethics grounded in duty and universal moral law. In contrast to Aristotle's, whose ethics were teleological and focused on the development of virtue to achieve happiness, Kant proposed a deontological ethics centered on duty and universal moral law. Aristotle valued the formation of moral habit through repetition and practice, while Kant emphasized the importance of free and universal will in moral action. Aristotle's categories were general logical and metaphysical terms, while Kant's categories were epistemological concepts, conditions for the possibility of experience. Although René Descartes and Kant central figures in modern philosophy, their philosophical approaches differ in many aspects. Kant criticized Descartes' rationalism, especially in relation to the proof of God's existence and the nature of the cogito, while Descartes defended a dualistic view of the relationship between mind and body. Kant proposed transcendental idealism, arguing that reality as we know it is structured by our mind. David Hume's influence on Kant's thought is well known, with Hume having awakened Kant from his dogmatic slumber with his skepticism. Kant tried to respond to Hume's skepticism regarding causality and metaphysical knowledge, proposing that causality is a priori category of the understanding. In ethics, Hume grounded morality in feelings and human nature, while Kant based it on reason and universal moral law. In aesthetics, Hume saw taste as a consensus among critics, while Kant related it to the structures of the mind. Immanuel Kant's philosopher exerted a notable influence on the development of several specific areas of science. In physics, although modern physics has advanced beyond some of Kant's specific ideas, his philosophy had a significant impact particularly on the formulation of Albert Einstein's theory of reality. Kant's emphasis on the subjectivity of space and time and the necessity of causality as a category of the understanding influenced Einstein's thinking. Kant's ideas were also relevant to the understanding of the nature of space and time physics. Even in debates about the interpretation of quantum physics, which challenges some of our classical intuitions about causality and determinism, Kant's conceptual framework still provide a point of reference for the analysis of these issues. Furthermore, Kant attempted to provide metaphysical foundations for Newtonian physics in his Metaphysical Foundations of Natural Science, demonstrating his interest in articulating the relationship between philosophy-science. In biology, Kant's analysis of organisms as natural end, and his discussion of teleology in nature had a significant impact on the philosophy of biology. Kant argued that living organisms cannot be fully understood through mechanistic explanations alone, and that it is necessary to resort to teleological principles to understanding their organization and functioning. There has been debate about whether Kant considered biology a science proper, but his analysis of living organisms as self-organized systems with internal purpose continues to be relevant to contemporary philosophy of biology, especially in relation to issues such as biological autonomy and nature evolution. Kant's philosophy also influenced the development of scientific methodology in biology, particularly through his emphasis on the importance of regulative principles in scientific investigation. In psychology, Kant's philosophy played a crucial role in the emergence of psychology as a distinct discipline. His emphasis on the active role of the mind in organizing experience, his analysis of mental faculties, and his exploration of consciousness had a lasting impact on how we understand the mind and subjective experience. Kant's ideas can be found in the theoretical foundations of various contemporary psychological approaches, such as cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, which is based on the idea that thoughts and beliefs shape emotions and behaviors, and Jungian psychology, which draws inspiration from the Kantian conception of the psyche as a cell-regulated system with conscious and unconscious elements. There has also been debate about the relationship between Kant's empirical psychology and his transcendental philosophy, with some scholars arguing that Kant intended to develop an empirical account of the human mind that was consistent with his transcendental principles. Kantian ethics, a fundamental pillar of contemporary moral philosophy. The categorical imperative and the emphasis on duty, obligation, and respect for human dignity continue to influence ethical debates in various areas. Kantian ethics is frequently applied to issue of human rights, social justice, and professional ethics. Contemporary philosophers such as John Rawls and Jurgen Habermas have developed ethical and political approaches that are based on Kantian principles, demonstrating their continued relevance. If you've made it this far, thank you for watching the content. Consider sharing the topic, the video, and subscribing to the channel. Let's move on to the final considerations. Immanuel Kant occupies a central and unavoidable place in the history of Western philosophy. His contribution in epistemology, metaphysics, ethics, aesthetics, philosophy, science, and politics revolutionized philosophical thought and continue to be subject of study and debate today. His critical philosophy, with its emphasis on human autonomy and the capacity of reason to establish the limits and scope, profoundly shaped the way we understand the world and our place in it. His legacy endures not only in philosophy but also various areas of scientific knowledge and in our conceptions of justice, human rights, and international relations. Kant remains without a doubt one of the greatest and most influential philosophers of all time.